Ladies and gentlemen, if I can interrupt your conversations. And obviously, this is going to be a challenge tonight. Thank you. We want to get tonight's program started so that we get out of here by Wednesday. Four-time. Way to go, buddy. Glad you could make it. Good to see you. No. Airline delays, but he did make it, so that's great to see you, buddy. Great to see you, buddy. Earlier today, our two newest inductees into the historic category were celebrated. Raymond Parks and the founders of Harley-Davidson. Right now, let's take a look back at the story of the legendary Raymond Parks. One of the things that was really interesting this morning, Stephen White, his stepson, who I'll introduce you to in just a moment, shared with us some of the other things that were really interesting. I didn't know. Raymond Parks was at the Battle of the Bulge. And you want to talk about an American hero. And he comes back and wins NASCAR's first championship, was instrumental in helping Bill France. What a great story. History was made back in 1903 when three members of the Davidson family teamed up with a guy by the name of William S. Harley. Let's take a look back at the most famous names in all of motorcycles. Earlier today, the family shared with us. I asked them about how did this get all started, and they said the truth is the guys came up with the idea of motorcycles because they wanted to get to the fishing hole faster. And look what it has developed into today. I'd like to now ask the representatives of our historic inductees to stand and be recognized. From the Harley-Davidson family, Margot Blankenship, who is the granddaughter of William S. Harley. Stand up. Where are you? There she is back there. Jean Davidson, granddaughter of Walter Davidson. Jean, back there. Bill Davidson, great-grandson of the William A. Davidson. And finally, Raymond Park's stepson, Stephen White. Stephen, he's right up here. My evening with you is now concluding. I have the distinct honor to turn things over to one of our best friends for all of us. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's Master of Ceremonies, a 2009 Hall of Fame inductee. Sit down, you're not ready yet. He just wanted to prove he could still move fast. Oh, well, I can get somebody to help. David Hobbs, everybody.
Well, thanks, Marty, and thanks to all of you for that gracious, very gracious welcome. I mean, a lot of stuff has gone on since we were last here with the COVID and the illnesses and the shortage of supplies. And now, of course, we've got that dreadful war in Ukraine for which we're all very worried about. But I suppose for us, that's all over there. And we're right here back in Daytona Beach, the birthplace of speed, as they say, for our induction ceremony. Tonight follows a one-year hiatus for a trip up to Detroit for back-to-back inductions back in October, which were fabulous. And so we again find ourselves amid the wonderful motorsports synergy of having our inductions at this special time of year here in Central Florida. 3 weeks ago, the Daytona 500 sold out, won by Roger Penske. 2 weeks ago, the IndyCar Series had a hugely successful season opener on the streets of downtown St. Petersburg, also won by Roger Penske again. Locally, we're at the outset of Bike Week, and I did hear yesterday that Roger himself is going to take part in the Daytona 200 on Sunday, which is about a lot more than all the wild rides and even wilder characters you see cruising around on A1A and elsewhere in the community, so God love them all. Anyway, there's also actual racing involved during Bike Week, with Supercross on this past Friday night and the historic Daytona 200 on Saturday, both at Daytona International Speedway. And also this weekend, up in Gainesville, the NHRA Gator Nationals convene again, and next weekend it's the 12 Hours of Sebring, where I shall be inducted into their Hall of Fame. So they too must be getting desperate. We hope that Synergy has helped facilitate some of you to attend tonight. Inherently, it adds greatly to the buzz surrounding her induction ceremonies. On a personal note, I know I can speak for our other inductees when I talk about the pride I feel each and every year being around this group again. It never fails, and to be quite honest, it's absolutely magnificent. We have an absolutely first-rate show for you tonight with a lineup of inductees that truly illustrate what makes our Hall of Fame so special. So, let's get on with it. The Motorsports Hall of Fame of America is extremely proud to introduce the next gentleman, well, the next guy anyway, a two-time IndyCar Series champion and a two-time Indianapolis 500 champion, and now a best-selling author. He's part of a fabulous racing family, a one-time dynasty that we probably will never see the likes of again in open wheel. He's bringing some true star power to the podium tonight as our induction ceremony's honorary chairman. So please welcome Lil Al Unser Jr.
Thank you, David. I'd like to begin this evening with a moment of silence for my father, Al Unser, and my Uncle Bobby Unser. Thank you. I'm getting older now, so I need notes. So the difference between my dad and my Uncle Bobby, Dad was very quiet, and until he put his helmet on, and then he became one of the fiercest competitors. Uncle Bobby was one of those flamboyant things, and I tried to do the best growing up to capture both of my father and my Uncle Bobby. And so, you know, when I was asked to do this, be up here, you know, Dad wasn't really a very good speaker, and so, you know, it took me a few days and a lot of praying, as George knows, for me to agree to do this. But Uncle Bobby, on the other hand, hold on a second. Would say it's time for me to promote my book. That's right. So that's what Uncle Bobby would have me do up here. So I did get after I accepted this, I did get a really nice email from Larry Ciancio. He was one of the founders of this Hall of Fame museum. And he informed me that Uncle Bobby was the very first honorary chair. So it was really a nice email that he explained all that. I didn't know that about Uncle Bobby. I guess after talking with George and stuff, they started asking about my tuxedo. And I said, no, I got one. And they go, no, we're going to rent one for you and all that kind of stuff. So I found out later, I guess Uncle Bobby was under the same orders. He showed up in a blue tuxedo, which is Uncle Bobby. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go on to something that means an awful lot to me, which is lighting of the torch, is what I call it. And the people who lit that torch that I'm going to talk about is Carl Fisher, Arthur Newby, James Allison, and Frank Wheeler. And then they passed that torch to a gentleman named Eddie Rickenbacker. And then they passed that torch to Tony Holman. And now we have a new carrier of that torch, and that's Roger Penske and the Penske family. And I'm not going to be able to say it, you know, as a driver, but I want to publicly say it now that I am so thankful for Roger Penske and the Penske family for having the finest racetrack in all of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I'd like to also now congratulate the class of 2022. This Hall of Fame, in my opinion, is the most prestigious Hall of Fame in America, bar none. And the reason what makes it most prestigious in all America is the fact that it's not just about automobiles and motorcycles, but it includes boats, airplanes, and so on. So to get into this Hall of Fame is really a true honor to be inducted in. So I really want to congratulate all of you on being inducted. So with that, we'll let the show begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. That was absolutely terrific. The only trouble is that Mike Helton has probably got a hit squad outside. As you said, Indianapolis was the best track in the whole world. So watch your back as you're going home tonight, sunshine. We're also pleased tonight to be joined by, obviously, a number of representatives from America's leading motorsports organizations. So please join me in welcoming NTT IndyCar Series owner, Roger Penske. NASCAR Vice Chairman, Mike Helton. Daytona International Speedway President, Frank Kelleher. Indianapolis Motor Speedway President, Doug Bowles. IMSA President, John Doonan. AMA Pro Stock CEO, Michael Locke. Sports Car Club of America President, Michael Cobb. NHRA President, Glenn Cromwell. And the next gentleman is one of the most traveled people in the whole world at the moment, and he's also very involved in Twitter sphere. And he's also president of the Automobile Competition Committee of the United States, George Silverman. Please now direct your attention to the video screens as we feature each 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. Earlier, Al Jr., of course, mentioned the loss of his dad and Uncle Bobby Unser. And we also want to acknowledge with a moment of silence 3 more great friends of the Hall of Fame. 2003 inductee Bob Bondurant, 2000 inductee Danny Ongaias, and our former chairman, the equally beloved T.E. Mahale. To all of them, Godspeed and R.I.P. Our first induction this evening is the at-large category, and what an inductee this is. She joined the New York Herald Tribune in the 1950s, becoming the first female sports reporter for a major daily newspaper. She would become vital to the rise of sports car racing's popularity in the US. Without her effort, there may well have been no Auto Week magazine, which was the sports car racing Bible in the 60s and 70s. She also was a racer who proved women could race with and beat men, winning her class at the 12 Hours of Sebring and a stage at the Rally Monte Carlo.
My name is Denise McCluggage.
What is your name, please?
My name is Denise McCluggage.
Again, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this next affidavit? I, Denise McCluggage, am a sports writer for the New York Herald Tribune. Under my own byline, I cover mostly skiing and sports car racing. I am proficient in both sports. For a time, I was a ski instructor and have also skied in competition here in the United States. I own and publish a semi-monthly newspaper on sports car racing and have owned and raced several cars of my own. I have raced in competition all over the United States as well as in South America and Europe. Next month, for the second year in a row, I will drive a car in the famous 12-hour endurance race at Sebring, Florida. Signed, Denise McCluggage. So, Sonny, what about your vote?
Well, I think number 1 is cute as a bug to see the paper. I'm going to go for number 2. She either reads the paper and how flatter she really knows her answer.
So will the real Denise McCluggage please stand up?
Well, to present Denise McCluggage for induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame, here's another female renowned as a trailblazer in motorsports and in life. Please welcome Lynn St. James.
Thank you very much, David. How on earth anyone can capture or describe Denise McCluggage, I don't know, but I'm going to give it my best shot. She was truly motorsports royalty. She was fiercely competitive, great athlete. You know, we mentioned her Sebring, where she, not only did she win her class, she drove that Ferrari from New York to Sebring to race it. And you, of course, have a chance to see the Jaguar, which was her first race car that finally was discovered. And she was very angry when they didn't let her run at Le Mans. So she didn't always have any opportunity to be able to do what she wanted to do, but she was going to continue to do it. She was a great storyteller. I can remember her holding court so many times. Every time I would go around, there would be a group of people around, and she could just tell stories. She had an absolute gift to be able to really entertain and amuse. She was a wordsmith. If you read her words, which I did every week in Auto Week, and you know, you would read her words and it would be like you were there. You were actually driving that car she was describing, or you were skiing down that mountain, that she would just talk about something in a way that she could make you feel that you were actually there. She was an award-winning journalist, was inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame in 2001, and I know she was most proud of that because she was the first automotive journalist inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame. She quoted herself as saying she had a privileged view. Because she had this ability to be able to race with the guys, to be around those events and those races, they knew her. And so she could take photographs and write about particularly in that era, the real icons of that era. She had insights and the privileged view to be able to do things and capture things that no one else did. She was a visionary, as David mentioned. She created Competition Press, which turned into being Auto Week, which of course was our Bible that we read all the time. Another piece of visionary that I want to share with you, and I hope you will listen to these words, because in the times that we're going through right now, she wrote this as the foreword to her book, The Centered Skier, in the 1970s. I quote, "I do not feel excluded by mere pronouns and sincerely trust that no one else will either. But if someone does, I refer them to God. She will explain." She was a Zen master. In The Centered Skier, all of the chapters were prefaced with Chinese characters, and I've heard many stories from people who she could actually anticipate what was going on in their lives, even though she hadn't seen them in years. She truly was this Zen master. And she was intimidating. Yes, intimidating. I met Denise in the 1980s, one of my first gigs for Ford Motor Company, besides having the pleasure of racing their cars. I had to do a PR event. And I showed up at this track, and it was a drag race. And they said, "You're going to drag race this woman," and a lot of media were there. And this woman, this is embarrassing, this woman looked like an older lady. I mean, I was in my 30s, she was in her 50s, and when I say that now, I think, what do the young girls feel when they meet me? But anyway, so I met her, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a piece of cake. We're going to drag race these Mustangs. She kicked my butt. Got my attention, and I remember Billie Jean King telling me, if you don't know your history, you don't have a future. Denise gave me a history lesson that day. I will quote Ken Gross because I think it's the best words I could find. "A marvelous writer and reporter, a competitive auto racer, a wicked skier, and a serious fox." The best of the era. I'm not done yet. One moment. People said to her, because she was this great writer, "Why don't you write your autobiography?" She said, "I don't write fiction." I believe halls of fame can be defining moments, but I believe that Denise never let anyone or anything define her. On International Women's Day, during Women's History Month, it is the most honor for me to be able to present Denise McCluggage into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America.
I'm not Denise McCluggage. I am her nephew, and very fortunate to have had an amazing aunt. When George called about this event, he said he'd like us who are accepting awards to speak 2 minutes from the heart. So the heart part, I think I have down. I wrote it down. The 2 minutes may be more like an NBA 2 minutes, if that's all right, with a few television timeouts and coaches' meetings. But our sincere thanks on behalf of the family to the Hall of Fame. And Lynn, thank you. I'm honored to have Lynn introduce Denise, and I'm glad she was the one doing it, because it's quite a history. And the nice thing is, it's all out there to read. You can find it, and I encourage you to do that. I want to introduce other members of our family that are here today. They are appropriately sitting at the Phil Hill table, which is right over in front of this screen. Denise was one of 3 sisters from Kansas who went out and became pioneers. Our mom, Bobby Sue, Denise as the middle daughter, and Patricia as the youngest. And they were all fascinating women. Our families, the Johnstons, the Dickinsons, and the Gellerts, are all so grateful. At the table is my wife, Melanie. our kids, Andy and Meredith, my brother Robert, his wife Maureen. Somewhere out there online, I hope, are the Gellerts and the Dickinsons in California watching this event. And I also want to point out at this appropriate Phil Hill table, Dennis and Beverly Little from Santa Fe, who Denise had many families, but she had a very special family in Santa Fe for her 18 years there, and it's fantastic to have them. She was remarkable. Her nickname was, in our family, was Aunt Dudes, which then got shortened to Duda. And in many ways, this at-large award is perfect because I think she was everywhere that most of us would have wanted to be in that era. So much of her work is published, and Lynn did a fabulous job, and the pictures tell some of the story. I thought tonight I would very briefly find some writing that's never been published and read you three things that give you just a glimpse into the woman, Denise McCluggage. The first is letters home to Mom in college in 1947 from Mills College in Oakland. And I need to say ahead of time, there'll be a reference to a woman named Dorothy Thompson in this. I didn't know who that was. I looked it up. Dorothy Thompson was an American journalist, radio broadcaster, the first journalist expelled from Nazi Germany in 1934, regarded as the first lady of American journalism and equal in influence to Eleanor Roosevelt. So just put that aside for a second. Here's Denise's, a section of her letter home, basically as a freshman at age 17, saying, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Mrs. Singhoff thought I would make a wonderful teacher. I think it would be nice, but Dr. Atherson seems to think I am destined for something more than being even just a county editor. It is funny, but 3 or 4 people have suggested at different times that I become a second Dorothy Thompson. I guess that must be where I'm heading for, but I'd rather be a first Denise McCluggage. So that gives you a sense of intent at age 17. Another glimpse, a second quick reading, is another letter home. In her senior year, she only spent 3 years of college and graduated Phi Beta Kappa. Dear Mom, I suppose you noted the announcement of the jam session. Well, I told you about the fellows in the music department. Every one of them is quite good, and they've been talking about jamming for the public or presenting some of their own arrangements and compositions. Typical of musicians, everyone talked and nobody did anything. So I got busy, secured a date, which is no easy business in this blasted campus, and arranged for a concert with publicity, tickets, and everything. It really went over, too. The fellows had their picture in the paper and a big write-up afterwards. Really wonderful. It's amazing what you can do when you get the let out. Love, Denny. So some of those fellows, they were graduate students in this women's college, included Dave Brubeck, and they became terrific friends, and Denise ended up living with Dave and his wife shortly after that. And this started a lifelong love of jazz, which plays into her racing career with a gentleman named Alan Eager, who she met in New York and turned into a racer and helped him with some serious, he was a fabulous tenor sax musician, but he had some serious issues that all musicians had in the late 50s. The jazz reference will play now in my third reading from her black book, never before shared in public. Not that black book. This is her planner from 1961, and I'm going to read very quickly entries as they occur in this for the first 3 months of 1961. See if you hear some of the threads of motorsports. Ski at Hunter every weekend. Take Alan to the doctor. Pick up Alan from the doctor. Here's Zoot Sims. Lunch with Ken Purdy. Lunch with Briggs. Fencing lesson. Leave for Detroit. Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. Radio interview. Newspaper interview. See Luigi. Ring a bell? To ABC, record spots. Go to the Museum of Modern Art, Dizzy Gillespie. SCCA sports car show. Banquet with Alan at Luigi's. Meet after with Sterling, Alan, etc. That is Sterling Moss. Auto movies at my house. Typical Saturday night. Opening night at Birdland, Dizzy. Stop by Luigi's, take the car back. Interview Tony Saylor, professional skier. Dinner with Alan. Visit Miles Davis afterwards. The next night, dinner at Miles' house. Museum of Modern Art, Thelonious Monk concert. Driving out to Long Island to get Alan a crash hat. Pick up Ferrari. Miles opening at the Vanguard. Dizzy concert at Carnegie Hall. Return Ferrari. Lunch with Briggs. Leave for Nassau, 3/16, March 16th. Return and leave for Miami, March 20th. Get car ready. Practice. Hassle over Alan's driving. Second physical, what a strain. Practice again, worry over tires, etc., etc. Alan, good passes. March 25th, Sebring 12, I start 10, 4 pit stops, Alan breaks a wheel, still win the class and GT overall. Celebrate. Call Briggs. That's Briggs Cunningham. Mercedes party at Tavern on the Green, Zoot at the Half Note, lunch with Phil Hill, Alan, Maston, that's Maston Gregory, at Rex. Tea with Maston the same afternoon, visit the Guggenheim, Village Vanguard for jazz, leave for Milano. Drive to Modena, supper with Phil, it's Phil's birthday, drive to Serramazzoni test track for the car test, Phil's birthday dinner with Alan, Phil, and Richie, I believe Richie Ginther. Check at Ferrari about new car. Here's the final note. No get to see old man. I think we all know who that might be. So you can all inhale. That's half the entries in pencil in 12 weeks of 1961. Wow, writing for Competition Press and covering motorsports all across the world. So that's 14 years after graduating from college. So finally, just to close, I was told by many of her close friends that her wish in her later years with that was basically that she would just break even. You know, she was thinking about her finances, and I can officially report that she kind of pretty much just did. But I think, as you can conclude, her life is anything but break even. There was breaking that happened. Records were broken. Molds and traditions were broken. Ceilings of glass were broken, or at least cracked, along with windshields, goggles, and a few lenses. And more than a few hearts were broken. But what a life, very far above break even. So truly a first Denise McCluggage. So, excuse me. On behalf of all of us, I want to close with her favorite 4-letter word that she ended every email and letter with, clearly influenced by trips to Modena and arguing with the old man. Thank you, and ciao.
Fascinating. This year's inductee in the stock car category has had a remarkable career involving several forms of racing. In NASCAR, though, is where he truly excelled, with championships in all 3 NASCAR National Series, including consecutive NASCAR Cup Series titles in 2003 and 2004. He's also won 2 Daytona 500 victories with former driver Matt Kenseth. Tonight is such a deserving honor for the chap they call the Cat in the Hat.
A Stroll-like Ford will win his first Winston Cup event. 3 miles. Jack Roush and his driver Mark Martin will celebrate a victory here at Rockingham.
Oh boy.
And Matt Kenseth is the 2003 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion. Jack Roush has won his first title in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, finally.
Well, I feel like we just broke through a plate glass window. I don't know what it's going to be like on the other side, but I hurt a lot getting through it, I'll tell you that.
Jack Roush, Jimmy Finnick, Kurt Busch, on behalf of everybody at NASCAR, job well done, congratulations.
Side by side with Kenseth, he runs out of time. Matt Kenseth wins the Daytona 500.
To present their father, Jack Roush, for induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, here are Jack's children, Susan Roush McCluggage and Jack Roush Jr.
I definitely need this, so excuse me here, but the story of my father's racing career started in a way that you might not expect. He was born in 1942 and grew up in the town of Manchester, Ohio. In the 1950s, Jack started a lawn mowing company with his younger brother, Frank. It was during this time that he not only learned to be an entrepreneur, but also learned about engines, as he fixed the old and beat-up lawnmowers that he used to earn money. Go forward a few years, and Jack was wrenching on cars, making them faster to race on the street. Though these may not seem like a big deal, they were. Jack's passion for engines and performance is what powered him along his path to this day. Add to this his relentless commitment to winning, and you'll understand why he is being recognized here today. His career has spanned a diverse set of disciplines across drag racing, road racing, and NASCAR, but his approach has always been the same: to build the team and to provide whatever it takes to succeed, period. He's filled many roles along the way, from engine builder, business owner, coach, mentor, and even driver. From my earliest memories, I've had the opportunity of watching my father in this unrelenting pursuit of motorsports. One of my most formative periods growing up was from the age of 6 to 11. My father had just stopped doing his own drag racing program and hadn't yet started his road racing. He did, however, have a go-kart team. I was the driver, and he was the crew chief. We won every championship that we entered. I'd like to think that it was all my driving, but I know it was a lot more than that. Thank you, Dad, for being a great example for us to follow.
Those impressionable years for myself came when our father was still deeply involved in drag racing. Though I did not compete in my younger years, he did provide the encouragement and support to pursue motorsports competition when I was ready to do so. And in turn, Jack and I have had the opportunity to pass that love and drive to challenge ourselves through competition onto our own children. Thank you, Dad, for all that you have done and continue to do for motorsports and our family.
This is a really big deal. I had no idea how many legends I was going to meet or what the depth of championships and performance was of the people that would be in attendance here. I'm humbled by the action of the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America to include me in the 22 class of inductees. And I'm humbled to be in the presence of so many of the great motorsport participants over the decades. As I look back at what has been the best opportunity for me to be involved and to earn a place in this hall tonight, I think of the importance of family and the importance of having balance in a competitor's life, where he can have a relationship with with the coming generations, and at the same time be at the peak of his performance in the generation that he's in. Without my wife Pauline, and with the thing that Susan and Jack and Patricia did to support her, I couldn't have had the time away from home to have sharpened my skills. As I look at the various things that I was involved with, we found success everywhere. But it was not my doing. I had the good fortune of having people come forward that were journeyman participants in the sports that were involved, then would carry to me their judgment and their experience and their commitment to launch my programs. My drag racing was surrounded with 9 champions that were involved with Ford Motor Company at the time. I learned from them, and in the out years of my 10 years in drag racing, I won 3 championships and had great success, not on what I knew to start with, but what I learned from the people that had come to join me. In road racing, we had the same thing. We had Bob Riley and a number of other very able professional trained people that were ready to realize their goals. I provided them tools and resources to be able to realize their objectives, and in the out years was able to use that to make a very successful run of 48% of the races we entered over 14 years. We managed to win. And with NASCAR, it was the same thing that happened. I was welcomed by the likes of Coach and Bill France Jr. and Mike Hilton, who's here tonight, and they welcomed me into their world. They gave me an application, an entry into the 1988 Daytona 500. I've never not thought about what that was worth and what all the people that have been involved in stock car racing from the time NASCAR was formed in '47 until I arrived in '88. They gave me a portion of that. I was allowed to compete for 1/40th of all the history and the things that had been done to make possible the interest and the participation in stock car racing that our fan base has. I can't say how much I appreciate that, but I was joined by Robin Pemberton and Steve Meal and Banjo Matthews, and had some advice from Bobby Allison, Davy's uncle and Donnie's brother, and I was able to use that to perfect a process that was able to be successful over a period of time. But the success I've had is by riding on the backs of these really talented and able people at a time when they were ready to realize their goals and to have their potential come to fruition. I'm pleased to be here tonight, glad to be part of this class of 22, and look forward to celebrating the success of the people that will follow me as we're following our people that had been successful before us. Thank you.
Before we go any further, we received word from Buddy Martin, who could not be here this evening. He sent word that he's going especially miss the Jack Roush induction, because it would have been nice to see Jack finally make good. So he's gone off to make good now. Okay, moving on. The 22 inductee in the sports cars. Now, this is a guy, it says he's a multifaceted living legend. Well, in my mind, he's absolutely unbelievable. You know, when you're driving race cars, you really don't take much notice of what's going on in the world around you. You know, you're only concerned about your own thing, and you're aggressive, and and I was racing Formula 5000 back in the 70s, and this kid called John Morton kept winning everything in a Datsun 510. I didn't take much notice of Datsun 510s, but Pete Brock, he's not been just in Datsun. I mean, he has done absolutely everything in racing. Designs, you can't believe how much stuff he's involved in. Like, he's best known for designing the 1965 world champion Cobra Daytona coupes, and for his multiple-time national champion Datsun 240Zs and 510s, but there's so much more to consider. At GM in the 1950s, he helped conceive the groundbreaking 1959 Corvette Stingray race car and the 1963 production model. And how about this? He was Shelby America's first employee and ran Carroll Shelby's driving school. And he went on to become a photojournalist and author with award-winning books on those coupes and Corvettes. Incredible guy.
In 1961, Brock became Carroll Shelby's first employee and designed the FIA World Champion Daytona Cobra Coupe.
Shelby won Ferrari's World Grand Touring title. A win at Sebring, coupled with his points from Daytona, would put Shelby ahead in the point standings. True to his hopes, Carroll Shelby whipped the Ferrari GTOs, taking the manufacturer's championship lead at the same time.
At his own company, Brock Racing Enterprises, Brock designed the Toyota JP6, the Triumph TR250K, and the stunning BRE Hino Samurai. In 1958, Brock left GM to pursue a career as a race car driver. Brock was there at the start of the Baja races in 1967. Peter Brock, award-winning designer, racer, flyer, photographer, award-winning author, and speaker.
Please join me in welcoming Peter Brock's wife, Gail, to present her husband for induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America.
I just have to take a picture of you lovely people. Right. Jay Leno once introduced Peter Brock by saying that before he met him, Jay looked up Peter's accomplishments and thought he must be 117 years old. What struck me, however, when I met Peter is how people approach him constantly to tell him how he has changed their life. It reminded me of the movie It's a Wonderful Life, where Jimmy Stewart is shown how the world would be different, and not in a good way, if he hadn't been born. Last November, Peter turned 85, and we invited people on Facebook and email to wish him well. I thought it best to share some of these people's own words to convey the effect Peter has had on the world. Said by many, they say beware of meeting your heroes for risk of being disappointed. Do not be afraid to meet Peter Brock. He will exceed your expectations by listening to you with genuine interest, answering your questions, sharing his expertise, and being modest to boot. The cool thing about Peter Brock is he's just one of us, only brilliant. A common story, whether it be at Shelby American or BRE, I rode up to Shelby American on my bike one day. Peter gave me a tour. I couldn't believe this guy took me seriously. It gave me confidence to pursue my dreams. Now with my own successful shop, I pay it forward every time an enthusiast walks through the door. This is from a builder of million-dollar supercars today. Pete took me under his wing more than 25 years ago. He gave me good advice that I still use today. Multiply the expertise he shared with thousands of other car guys, racers, engineers, designers, and car makers, and he has made a huge impact on multiple generations. Lastly, I want to share part of a letter Peter received in the mail more than 15 years ago. I admit I'm going to try and keep it together. Mr. Brock, you probably won't remember me. I found your mailing address on the internet and felt it important to share my thanks to you. 5 years ago, I was sitting on a plane next to you. I recognized you and struck up a conversation. You were so easy to talk to, I soon found myself sharing my most personal fear that my wife and I were losing our son to drugs. He was a young adolescent and hanging out with the wrong crowd. His grades and school attendance had plummeted. His future looked bleak, and his mother and I had tried everything we could think of to turn things around. Nothing was working. You then said the words to me, project car. You need to get a project car that you'll both work on and will become his when done. Take him to car shows to talk to adults about their cars and about his car. Soon, kids with drugs will look like stupid stuff to him. I got home and immediately found a basket case Chevy, the same kind my son had as a Hot Wheels car. He acted indifferently at first, but I saw the spark in his eyes. Soon we were getting our hands dirty working on that car and talking about life and the challenges of growing up. His grades improved, and last month he graduated high school with honors and has a full-ride college scholarship. My wife and I have become the envy of our friends. I remember like it was yesterday when God answered our prayers and put you on that plane next to me. I want to thank the Motorsports Hall of Fame for inducting Peter Brock, but most importantly, I want to congratulate you on inducting such a great human being. It's a wonderful life with Peter Brock.
I don't know quite how to follow an intro like that, you know. It's very touching, but it's always pretty obvious to say that it's always a matter of timing and good fortune. And I've had an opportunity to work with some of the really great guys in the automotive industry. And I mean, I don't even know where to start, but going to work at General Motors when I was 19 and having the opportunity to work for Harley Earl and Bill Mitchell, and having the opportunity to take the lead in designing the Corvette. You know, I was 19 years old. And it was incredible. But the leadership of those guys and the vision, I mean, they'd been working there from before I was born. And they taught me so much about art and life and design and how to work with people. And that's been the whole thing that I've had this opportunity to pursue, because I've always loved racing from the time I was 12 years old. So the opportunities, I left the design business when I was just 21 so that I could go racing, because that was what you had to be when to get a license at that time. And that turned into an operation working with a guy in California, a great guy that was a real mentor in my life that made a lot of changes and taught me a lot about building cars, and that was Max Belchowski, who built some of the great specials in Southern California that were blowing off all the Ferraris and Mazdas. And through Max, I got to meet Carroll Shelby, and that just really changed my life, because I went to work for Carroll as his first employee and had a chance to do everything. You know, my real goal was, of course, drive for Carroll, and but I just didn't have enough experience, even though I did all the testing on the original Cobras at the beginning. The car was so successful when we first went out that it was just an instant. The next day, everybody in the world with a name driver was calling Carroll, you know, whether it had been Dan Gurney or Phil Hill or Bob Bondurant or, you know, everybody. And there went my ride, because you had all the real guys came in and started driving that car, and we won the world SECA's championship in 1963. And this was a real major change in that year, because prior to that point, the SECA had been primarily an amateur organization that kind of frowned on professional racing. But there was this group of guys in Southern California called the California Sports Car Club that knew what racing was all about, and really changed the sport. And it was Carroll's success with the Cobra, with bringing in professional drivers, and the first big major races on the West Coast, sponsored by the Times Mirror, became the biggest race in the world. It was paying more than Formula One at that time, and brought all these top guys in. And I got a chance to be around all of that and see the way people did things. And it was just the ability to work with these people that were building these great cars, like Phil Remington, who I brought into the Motorsports Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. Just geniuses, real artists. It was such a pleasure to work with these guys and learn so much that when I finally started my own team, all of that stuff really paid out, and it was successful, more than I know what to do, because I got to work with such great talent. I mean, I had an engine building guy that had building named Art Early, who was 86 years old when he came to work for us, and had been running the Champion spark plug dyno down in San Pedro. And he came in and started building all our engines, and I started racing Datsuns. It was the first time anybody ever seen Japanese cars in racing. But we really converted those into, you know, real California hot rods, and made a success out of it, and started winning championships, beating Alfa Romeos and Porsches and Triumphs. And it really brought together an incredible group of guys, you know, people that just changed the world of racing. Guys like Mac Tilton, who was our crew chief on this. So the opportunity to work with all these people has been the thing that's been the best thing that I've really had in my life, and really enjoyed it. And so being selected to come into the Motorsports Hall of Fame. One thing I forgot to say, the only reason that I'm successful is my wife. She does all the smart stuff that I can't do, you know, like runs the business, you know. So, and just absolutely been a real success. We have a business building race car trailers in California, out in Henderson, Nevada, and it's going into really a monster business for us.
Now, George told me we can't talk about our products.
Okay, great. So thank you all very much.
Oh, I think I need a stiff drink. God, I'm exhausted. That was, I mean, Gail was just so fantastic. And Peter, as she said, he's so humble. I mean, there he is, a 19-year-old working with some of the top engineers at GM, and already he's giving them all the credit, but it's obvious that his initiative, his brains at 19 years old were obviously extraordinary. And yes, he got tremendous help from the people that he's working with, but nevertheless, obviously, Pete Brock is an extraordinary person. Whew. So, tonight's 2022 drag racing category inductee is the only person in NHRA history to win Top Fuel championships as a driver and as a crew chief. His heralded success evolved from humble beginnings. Early on, he would sometimes rummage through racetrack trash cans, sounds familiar, looking for parts that then top teams might have thrown away. Sometimes he would then find a way to use those discards to win races. Tonight's induction underscores his premier status in NHRA as a member of the NHRA's list of 50 greatest drivers of all time.
And they're off. It's close. Side by side they go. But it's LaHaie in the far lane, scoring the victory. His dramatic 1987 championship-clinching win over Joe Amato at the NHRA Finals ranks as one of the sport's most emotionally triumphant moments. Steely-eyed, indomitably hardworking man from Michigan and his family beating the odds and the competition together. His legacy will stand the test of time in NHRA drag racing as a driver, a father, a crew chief, and a champion.
Presenting Dick LaHaie for induction into the Hall of Fame is the driver he partnered with for NHRA Top Fuel titles in 2002 and 2003. Welcome, please, Larry Dixon.
Thank you. First off, I want to thank Kim and Jeff for asking me to do this. I mean, this for me, this ranks right up there with any honor I've been bestowed. He was really like a dad to me, and really took care of me. If he was here today, I know he'd be humble, but he'd be so proud. So thank you, Kim, Jeff. When I talked to Dicko, the first thing he would say is, he'd answer every phone call. "What's happening, son?" And I miss that. I miss that a lot. He'd always say that. The only person to have won a championship as a driver and then as a crew chief. I mean, you think of nitro racing for 60-plus years of organized racing, and he's the only guy to do it. And it really speaks volumes of the talent that he had and to be able to pass on to others, namely Scott Coletta and myself. So I really, what I'd like to say about Dicko is when he came to our team, I thought I knew how to drive, but he taught me how to race. I mean, he taught me about strategy, on setting up a car, assembling a car, right down to timing all the bolts on the front end of the car to where all the flats are all lined up, so he could walk by it and know that nothing was loose. And literally, I mean, and he trained all his people in the same fashion. As far as the tune-up on the car goes, he was the best, and he really spoiled me from that standpoint. And on a rare occasion when we'd lose an engine or something, we literally didn't make another run until he could actually pull that engine apart and find out why it did what it did. He was never going to make another run beforehand. And I didn't learn until later on other teams that I drove for that, they just put in another engine, and you say, well, what caused the failure? And they say, oh, we'll get it. We'll find out later. And then maybe the next run, he found out they didn't fix it. So he was great with taking care of the engine. He really cared about the parts. He was also the ultimate car guy. I mean, we could talk about Formula One, but we could also talk street outlaws. And it was really funny. I mean, he's older, and he'd call me up, and he's wanting to talk about Big Chief or Murder Nova or some of the guys on the show, and what are they doing? And he just he loved cars. He loved all types of cars, anything that made noise. He was all in. Bikes too. So I don't want to leave the bike guys out for sure. But he was also very old school. Sometimes the political correctness evaded him. So there was one time on TV, on live TV, he was asked, and we didn't qualify for one event during our first championship year, and the reporter came up and asked him how he felt. He said that was a stupid question, and he walked off and just left him hanging. And it's funny now, but at that time, but that was Dicko. There was another time early on that I was struggling on the starting line, and I asked him for help, and he said, "Son, I wish I could help you." He said, "But when you get tired of getting your ass kicked, you'll figure it out." and it made me mad, but he was right, But he got me to dig in places that I didn't know existed, and it worked, And I thank him for that. I certainly wouldn't be where I was without him. The teachers that I had in school, and the ones that I remember the most, were the ones that were the hardest on me and kind of forced you to learn. They really cared about you, and he really cared. That was Dicko. He was very much a teacher. The marks that he left in our sport, when you see a crew chief go to the side of the injector and richen the metering valve up before they roll them into stage, I never saw anybody do that before Dicko did. And it was, he did it, and his cars were running good at the time, and then everybody started following suit. So you still see that today, and it's, when I see that, it makes me think of him. So I really dig that. The other thing that he did was changing the firing order on a nitro engine. It was something that he played with, I know, a little bit with the Coletta team, and then when he came over to our team, we literally tested all year long on this different firing order, and when we finally got it in the car, we won our first championship with that, and now it literally, whether it's a single swap cam or a dual swap cam, he was the guy. He was the first one to do it, and so those are things that he definitely brought to the sport. And then, as much, and like an NFL coach will have coordinators under them go on to become head coaches, he had the same thing for crew guys that worked underneath him. And guys like Jimmy Prock and Jim Oberhofer, John Oberhofer, Donnie Bender, Nicky Bonifant, Ron Douglas, John Collins, Aaron Brooks, and I know there are more. And what have they all gone on and done? Well, they've all gone on and won races, if not championships. And so I think that's a credit to Dick's legacy and what he's done and what he's passed on to other people. He was always very open and would help anybody else that was looking to learn more. I'm going to kind of somewhat close on this, and I got this from an interview that Dick did with the NHRA paper, the National Dragster, about when he came to our team, and these are his words. He said, "On Monday, I asked them to change the car to run it my way. Less nitro percentage, some more compression, and my clutch settings. And the car went right down the track with really good numbers. Afterwards, Snake gathered the rest of us crew guys and myself together and told them, this is going to be short and to the point, and I want you to listen very closely to what I'm saying. If Dick LaHaie says tomorrow is Easter, you better start coloring the eggs." And he closed with, "We had a hell of a run," and he was just a great man, and I really wish he was here. To receive Dicko's enshrinement into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, please help me welcome his son, Jeff LaHaie.
How can I follow that? I mean, Larry did well. You have no idea what it would be like to live under Dick LaHaie, but it was good. And I have to thank George and Sean and Don and for all this, all you guys that have been here. He would be very appreciative for all you've done for him and putting him in this Hall of Fame. My sister for all she's done and the friends that have come and shared this moment with me is truly amazing. I do have to share with you. January 8th, 1942, Dick was born, and so were a few other people. Stephen Hawkins, and Dick was way smarter than him. David Bowie. Dick was a bigger rock star. But most of all, he was my dad. And I can't thank God enough for all he's done for me and for my dad and all the struggles he went through. And he was an overnight sensation, you know, as you well know, right? So, and I would like to tell you about the sticker that he had on his car, and Larry does it. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And with that, you know that you can live forever. So, thank you again for all you've done.
Our inductee tonight in the at-large business category certainly lived large in NASCAR as a car builder and owner. Cars he built dominated NASCAR Cup racing from 1974 to 1985, winning more than 70% of races held during those years. And in 1978, cars he constructed won all 30 races held. As a car owner, his teams won races and captured 14 poles. The highlight, 3 Firecracker 400 victories at Daytona International Speedway with one hell of a driver, trifecta Motorsports Hall of Fame inductees Fireball Roberts, A.J. Foyt, and Donnie the Fisticuffs Allison.
Banjo the other Nichols Pontiac. 134.3, fastest of them all. Matthews is making his move, blasting past Weatherly's number 8 to challenge Roberts for first place. Banjo retakes the lead from John. He's turning laps at better than 163 miles an hour.
Presenting Banjo Matthews for induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, 2011 inductee and a member of one of America's most cherished motorsports families, the aforementioned Donnie Allison.
Thank you, Mr. David. I got a few things written down here, but first of all, let me congratulate all of the inductees. You're in the best motorsports there is, buddy. Girls. My wife was good enough to put this down here for me where I could read it. And but Banjo was really, really special to me. He was the first one I drove a factory race car for. He was probably the best mentor I ever had. And our time together really stayed too short. Got out of racing. Ford got out of racing in 1971, and of course that ended Banjo's car owner career. But anyway, a lot of people didn't know that Banjo was born really in Ohio, and he moved to South Florida at a young age and began racing modifieds down there. Won a lot of races, and then he got on into the car building business, and as Jack Roush said earlier, he built race cars for just about everybody. He built, let me see, I got it right here somewhere. He built 562 races were won in his car of 362. So that's a pretty good record. Now I'll tell you a little bit about my history with Banjo. First of all, he had two loves. His family, which consisted of Penny, Jody, and Sarah, and his race cars. When I drove for him, he had a pit car. It was the fastest thing we had at the racetrack about every time, but we could not win a race with it. When I went to drive for him, Ford Motor Company told me I could run Banjo's car at Rockingham with a 427 motor when everybody else went to 390s. Banjo said, don't worry about it, we'll do fine. Well, Rockingham got rained out, so then I thought my career was over with, and they came to me and said, you want to drive Banjo's car at Bristol? God, yes. Same thing, 427 motor. I didn't care. They put a 990 motor in it myself. But anyway, to make a long story short, we go back to Rockingham, and I win my very first Cup race. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, Banjo and Victory Lane, tears running out one of those real thick glasses, saying, I never thought I'd ever win another race. And to me, that was the most gratifying thing in the world. I was young in my career. I felt like, the sky was the limit. But this man has done more for racing and is most deserved to be in this Hall of Fame of anybody I know. And to accept for him is his son Jody. I'll cut very short. I didn't go into a lot of this because it's getting pretty late. But his son Jody is accepting this for his dad, Banjo. Jody?
Me and Donnie had an argument last night. He was trying to tell me he loved my dad more than I did. Donnie and Pat have been like an aunt and uncle to me all my life. I've had the privilege to work with people like Mr. Roger Penske, Mr. Jack Roush. Sitting up here with these tables with these inductees, recognizing my father. Huge honor for me and my family. We thank you very much. Miss Linda back there waving. Love you, girl. Tell you a little trick here. She might get embarrassed. I'm probably the only one in this room that Linda changed diapers on. Back in the mid-60s. And she's been like a grandmother. I'm very glad she's here tonight. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. When it comes to getting recognized by people outside of your element of racing, in the motorsport community, we're all competitors. Each has their strength and get recognized. But when you get recognized by peers outside of your form of racing, it is a wonderful feeling. Me and my family, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
His cars won a lot of races. Few rider-tuner pairings have dominated motorcycle racing like the two gentlemen we're about to induct in the motorcycle category. From the early 70s until 1988, they captured 14 Pro Stock and Top Fuel titles. The duo's success led the NHRA to add motorcycles to its National Series lineup. For more than 40 years, they've operated a world-leading aftermarket parts supplier, and their own road racing teams have won AMA Supersport and Superbike titles and 2 Daytona 200s in addition. The one-time rider in this combo, Terry Vance, is like Dick LaHaie, one of the NHRA's 50 greatest of all time. Inducting Vance and Hines into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America is the long-time respected voice of the NHRA. Please welcome from Fox Sports, Alan Reinhart.
Thank you, everybody. First of all, it is an honor to be here tonight. I want to thank Terry and Byron for inviting me to do this. And I also want to congratulate everybody else up here on the panel. It's been amazing. I am a big follower of motorsports, a lot more than just NHRA. And it's amazing to me being in a room with all of you folks tonight. So thank you. It's an honor to be here. The story of Terry and Byron really starts in 1971. A couple of guys that love motorcycles that happen to bump into each other at the legendary Lions drag strip out in Southern California. Both of them had raced there before that, but they really didn't get to know each other until after Byron did a short stint in the service, came back, and then they got to know each other as racing rivals and then as co-employees when they both went to work for Russ Collins' motorcycle shop. He was a local guy that did hot rodding, did performance parts. Byron, the mechanical genius, worked on stuff in the back. Terry worked the phones, learned the business, learned sales, which he is very gifted at for anybody that knows him. And it really did start to evolve. Selling parts, racing on weekends. They would showcase the performance potential at the racetrack, and the business just kept growing. Then opportunities arose that Russ wasn't really interested in pursuing. So Terry and Byron got together and said, we need to go out on our own. And that they did. They started by doing engine work and quickly decided they needed to broaden their horizons a little bit. They needed to get into a venue where they would have more customers, just broaden their customer base, and they started building exhaust pipes. Powerful, good-looking performance parts that everybody needed to have. And if you were in motorcycles in the 70s, if you didn't have a Vance and Hines pipe on your bike, you were behind the guys that did, no doubt about it. And their business started to expand. They would work during the week, go out on the track on the weekends and show off their stuff, and everybody knew where their performance was coming from. When the NHRA started showcasing the Pro Stock motorcycle class, these guys were ready, winning 3 of the first 4 official Pro Stock events. In one stint in the early days of the class, 36 races, they went to 22 final rounds and won 18 of them. That's an astonishing record, at least to anybody who hadn't been getting their butt kicked by them on the West Coast the whole time. The success on their NHRA side quickly drew the attention of manufacturers, and people started wondering, could these drag racers find this kind of performance in other venues? So they decided to venture out. They made the move from building 7-second drag bikes as far in the other direction as you could possibly go, 24-hour endurance racing, and won 4 consecutive 24-hour events at Willow Springs. Then Yamaha came calling. Needed some help with their AMA program, and Terry and Byron ran that factory team, winning Daytona 200s, winning championships in all of the different categories. They were just tearing it up. At that time in the early 90s, Byron decided he was going to cross a bucket list item off. It had been a while since he'd been riding the bike competitively, so he went out and ran a full year in NHRA Pro Stock competition, and not a bad year. Finished top 10 in points, and to this day, he's the only man that's ever parked a Yamaha in the winner's circle at an NHRA Pro Stock event. Shortly after that, Ducati came calling, and they switched their iconic logo to the red and black bikes and went out and just kept winning and winning. In the early 2000s, a decision made by Terry much earlier, which every time Terry said, Byron, I got an idea, he went, oh God, now what? They started building pipes for the V-twin market. Hugely successful. And it paid off when Harley Davidson called and said, we need help with our drag race program. Are you guys interested? What do you need to do? Not much. Start from scratch. Literally build an engine from scratch, build a chassis from scratch, and build a program that'll go out and be competitive on the NHRA side. There had not been a competitive Harley in NHRA Pro Stock basically ever. So they did. Took a little time to get up to speed. Their first win came in March of 2004. Over the next 18 years, they won 106 more races and 10 championships. Amazing record with the Harleys. The success with that relationship brought Harley back with another idea. Think you guys could help with our flat truck program? We're talking about 2 guys that haven't done anything with motorcycles on dirt since they had mini bikes in the 1960s. So they said, sure, where do we start? And I'm sure Byron rolled his eyes again because Terry had a great idea and Byron knew he was going to be the one that had to make it work out. The racing success drove sales because anybody that saw something win on Sunday wanted to have those parts on their bike, and the business absolutely took off. It's an amazing success story, and to this day, they haven't slowed down. This weekend, they have 6 motorcycles running in 3 different sanctions just here in the state of Florida under the Vance and Hines banner. They're also going to restart a relationship that started in 1977. Their first ever factory deal with Pro Stock was with Suzuki, and this weekend in Gainesville, they are back with Suzuki as the factory riders up there, trying to win another championship on that side of the fence. That's kind of a 30,000-foot overview of what these guys have done in their careers. And pretty much like everybody in the room, I could spend 5 days going over just individual records, individual accolades, things that they have accomplished. But I think you get the idea of where the successes come from. I do want to mention one more thing, however, and that's giving back. Over the past few years, Terry has donated multiple millions of dollars into programs trying to help the next generation, trying to help youth find their passion, find something that they want to do. So they never have to go to work like these guys. You just keep doing what you love and doing what you love. And pretty soon you find out you've made a heck of a life and a heck of a career out of it. I've been talking Terry and Byron all night. I mentioned Vance and Hines once. I know there's a lot of people that don't really know the names Terry and Byron, but there's not a motorcycle enthusiast on the planet that doesn't know the name Vance and Hines. And it has been said that not since William Harley and Arthur Davidson met have two guys got together and had more of an influence on the motorcycle industry than these guys. Whether you're talking about business success, whether you're talking about racing success, whether you're talking about philanthropy, I think it's very clear that they deserve to be in the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Vance and Byron Hines.
I think Mr. Roush said it right. This is a big deal. This is Women's Appreciation Month. This is my wife of 50 years. I think I told Terry this last week. I said, really, our wives should be up here instead of us. Anyway, I'll keep this short and sweet. I'm not the talker. He is. He can tell the story better than I ever could. But thank you for the Hall of Fame, George Levy. I'll try to get it together. Mr. Brock, I'll try to get it together. Okay. It's tough. So anyway, appreciate this. It's very humbling to see the captain in the audience, all these stellar people out here, all these people we looked up to for years. Is amazing.
You know, it's pretty funny. When we first started our company, it was just Byron and I, and out there working away and doing our stuff. And as the company grew, we would get the people together and talk about, you know, what we were trying to achieve and how we could achieve it and what we needed to do to get some success. And I always asked Byron to speak to the people, and he couldn't do it. So it was kind of a standing joke in our company, you know, that Byron's going to say a few words because he never could do it. He always get choked up, you know, or whatever. But, you know, it's probably kind of interesting. My dad took me to Ascot Park in like 1965, and we saw the sprint cars run. I think the driver was of the car that we went out and looked at after the event was Alan Heath. I don't know if any of you old guys remember Alan, but he had a sprint car. It was absolutely beautiful. It had Offenhauser motor in it and the big tires, and it was painted really nice. And I was probably like 12, 13 years old, and I remember it was like a spiritual moment for me. It was something I had never, ever experienced before, how cool that vehicle was and the racing was. And I really enjoyed that a lot. And if my dad were here today and could be in this room with all these stars, I mean, God, the people standing behind Byron and I before we started, he would just lose it. I promise. He really would. He was a special man. He really was. But I have to tell you, when Byron came home from the Army and we got to racing and gotten to spend a lot of time together and kind of get going, Byron was really my rock because he had this kind of moral sense and a moral fiber that I didn't have, and I didn't understand why he had it, because he wasn't a religious guy and he wasn't someone that had a lot of prophecies or talking or any of that stuff. He was just a solid guy. And what was interesting was he came out of a family that was not very solid and a lot of problems at home. And it's just one day he said to himself, hey, I'm going to go make it different. I'm going to go be different. And he actually joined the Army, got out there, came back, served his country, came back a completely different person, a man, and actually understood a lot of things that a lot of kids in those days didn't understand. And you know, today, you guys, there's a lot of feelings about who owes who and if somebody should work for a living or whatever. I really wish those people could spend 5 minutes with this guy. He's the hardest working, most dedicated, competitive man I've ever met in my life. And he's... He's been doing that since we were kids, and to be honest with you, it's been such an easy ride for me when it comes to the competition side, because I really wasn't that good of a rider. But with Byron, it made it so simple. I mean, when he came home from the Army, we built our first race bike. It was a double-engine Honda. It was kind of fun to see it on the screen. Anyway, he built that when he was 24 years old. We won 22 of 23 races with it. So, I mean, it was a dominant machine, and it made everybody think I was a good rider. But honestly, you guys, that bike was so fast, any coconut could have rode it. So, I mean, that was our start and our beginning before we actually started our business. But then once we started our business, I mean, Byron was so dedicated and so hardworking. One of the things that just astonishes me when I think back on all that time and all those years that gone by is the patience that Janice showed with Byron, because when he would come home from work, he would go out in the garage and start porting cylinder heads, start working on the flow bench. He would start doing stuff so that we could have more power and more performance. And she tolerated that. Not always, you guys. I mean, because sometimes she would come over to me and say, I can't take this anymore, you know. And I mean, she was the best wife and the best mother of her kids and their family that I've ever met. So for me to be able to be associated with these two people has been, choked me up a little bit, has been a real honor. And I have to tell you, I really and truly have to tell you, they have two sons, Matt and Andrew. People get it confused all the time. They come up and want to meet Byron and I, and they talk about my sons racing, but it's actually Byron's sons. But anyway, Matt won 3 national championships in the NHRA, and Andrew's now won 5. So they've raised some great kids, not just racers, you guys, not just guys that are out there for themselves, but really solid core guys, solid core kids that are great individuals. So for me, you guys, it's been a really good ride. Alan and I laugh at each other all the time, talk about, hey, it's race day, you know, don't you just love race day? Don't you just love race day? And I know it's not real macho or anything like that, but I have to tell you, I love this man. And I do, because he's made every day of my life like race day. Thank you.
Sorry to interject here, but Byron honoring his wife and stuff, and I forgot to. I'm a simple man to honor my wife of 19 years today.
Forgot the wife. The kiss of death. Just wait till you get out of this room, sunshine. Anyway, induction selections for any Hall of Fame are often fuel for debate, but not in this instance. The 2022 inductee in the open wheel category is a 4-time Indianapolis 500 champion. Now, it's not just that. I mean, this guy here is the suavest, most debonair guy you could ever see. He's handsome. His hair is black. He slides around the dance floor and wins Dancing with the Stars. He wins a bloody Daytona 24-hour race, which I've been trying to do for 60 years, 2 times in the same effing year. And those just happened to bookend his 4th Indianapolis 500 win. And the guy is 46 years old. And he goes around the outside of a guy half his age, going into turn 1 on the last lap but one in Indy, and says, stick that up your pipe and smoke it. So, To many, he's known as Spider-Man for ushering in the grandstand fence climbing tradition for race winners. To others, he's relevant for winning Dancing with the Stars, as we mentioned, forever. He'll now also be remembered as a Motorsports Hall of Fame of America inductee, Helio Castroneves.
Dream. Helio Castroneves has won the Indianapolis 500.
Helio Castroneves played the economy game and wins the 86 Indianapolis 500.
Another one, two, baby, two.
A three-time Indy 500 champion.
And presenting Helio for induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America is a 1995 inductee and an absolute giant in the sport. Here's the captain, Roger Penske.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to the inductees tonight. Many of you are my heroes, as we've all grown up in this great sport and of racing, but I'd also like everyone to give George Levy and the whole Motorsports Hall of Fame a big hand for what they've done for all of us. George. Really, it's my honor to be here tonight to help induct my friend Helio Castroneves into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. Over the last 56 years, we've had nearly 150 race drivers race for Team Penske. Our team has been very fortunate to work with some of the best racers in history. Many have been honored with the induction into the Motorsports Hall of Fame in the past. But thinking back, all of our great drivers in the history, none of them had as much fun or enjoyed racing and competing at the top level in our sport than Helio. From the moment Helio joined our team back in 2000, it was an incredible journey. His smile, to his endless enthusiasm, energy, and his unique way in connecting with everyone on our team. Helio was a shining star, and it just kept getting brighter and brighter every year. His passion for racing helped breathe new life into our sport. His skill behind the wheel, combined with his larger-than-life personality, opened up a whole new audience for IndyCar racing. And he took all of us along for the ride. When Helio won his first race, Indy race in Detroit, and decided to turn into Spider-Man and climb the fence with the fans, we knew we had somebody special. He even got me to scale the fence at Indy a couple times, and I can tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks, especially a guy my age, right? For 21 years, Helio delivered 36 wins, 60 pole positions, 107 podium finishes, and as you know, 3 Indianapolis 500 victory. More than any other driver in the history of Team Penske, Helio created so many great moments and memories for our team. I know that everyone at Team Penske felt so proud to be part of Helio's first championship as he won the IMSA sports car title, driving for our team in 2020. The numbers on the scoreboard have been impressive, but Helio brought much more to our team. He became an ambassador for our partners and their brands, and he developed a special bond with race fans across the globe. Along the way, he became quite a dancer, as I said earlier tonight. Who would have thought that a race driver would become Dancing with the Stars champion? Only Helio. It's no surprise that Helio continues to add to his legacy. He's coming off an overall victory in the Rolex 24-hour in January, and of course, he became a member of racing's exclusive club when he earned his 4th Indianapolis 500 victory last May. In just a few weeks, Helio will be chasing as he looks for his 5th and record victory at the Indy 500. We'll be doing our best at Team Penske to drive into victory lane, but if anyone is capable of becoming the winningest driver in IndyCar history, you know who it is. It's my friend Helio Castroneves. Truly one of the best ever to race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's a great teammate, a real racer, a true champion, but more important, my friend. Please help me bring in the newest member of the Motorsports Hall of Fame, Helio Castroneves.
Wow. Well, first, hashtag HOF, right? OMG. I can't believe it. This is absolutely amazing. I'll be very quick. I know I spot Rusty over there, and I'm sure he wants to go to the bar very soon, so don't worry, Rusty. It's amazing, you know, so many people still, till this day, call me Helio, Julio, hello. But I'm here, you know, and that's what I love it. And looking and trying to find a way to do a great speech and a great, find smart words, I couldn't find it. I was like, you know, this is a dream, right? Or is it real? I mean, it is real. But in the end, I was only able to find ways to be thankful. And for me today, it's all about that. And I want to congratulate, first of all the inductees of the class of 2022. It's an honor for me, and hearing everyone here speaking from their heart. And I can see everyone here is a passion from racing, just like myself. And of course, I can stop as well and thanking the whole entire Motorsport Hall of Fame, George and your team. This is absolutely a dream for me, and I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. I want to thank Roger. What an honor to have you introducing me to the Hall of Fame. I've been to so many of yours, and I can't believe it. Today is my turn. I can thank you, Kathy, the entire organization of Team Penske for taking me under your wing, your amazing team, and your family as well. So you're a role model to so many of us. I want to thank my wife. I won't forget that one. Adriana, even though she's not here. And she came a little bit late into my racing career. I have to say, she has been part of these special moments inside racing and special outside racing as well. And since she's the boss of the house, I want to thank her for letting me borrow her pants every time I go out. And of course, the racing suit, there is no way she's going to borrow, so that's mine. You can see who is the boss in the house, right? Well, I want to thank my dad. He's the one that was taking chances on me and believing in me. I want to thank my mom to raise me and show me that there's nothing wrong to be yourself. I want to thank my sister to helping me with so many challenges. I want to thank my trainer, my team, Carlos Bailey. He's the one keeping this mosquito frame in shape, I want to thank all my racing competitors because they make me better. I want to thank a friend as well, Jacques Led, for helping me, finding some tools to go through all the tough moments. I want to thank all my partners, my friends. I want to thank even the security of the racetracks to allow me to go and climb the fence without any trouble. I want to thank someone special, Steve and Christine Horn. They were the one that opened this opportunity to come to this amazing country. I want to thank Tony Bettenhausen for introducing me to the IndyCar world. I want to thank Carl Hogan and his family for also making me part of his family. I want to thank Tim Cindric for keeping me out of a lot of troubles. Also want to thank Mike and Mary Beth Shank for not only to believe in me, but allowing me to take this new role as a driver and grow as a person as well. Also thank you, Jim Meyer and Tim Meyer, for not only trust me in ability and letting my passion go through. Thank you, my fans, because they give me energy, believe it or not. And last but not least, the most important of all, I want to thank the Lord for giving me the passion for this amazing sport. Thank you, Lord, for making me training hard, for pushing hard. Thank you, Lord, for fighting for my dream. Thank you, Lord, for making me hustle. Thank you, Lord, for having no time for excuse. Thank you, Lord, for rushing to catch those delayed flights when we're trying to flying from races to races. I want to thank you, Lord, for being patient and give me that patience. I want to thank you, Lord, for giving the ability of dancing, which I never thought I'm going to be doing that. I want to thank you, Lord. Sometimes days that I think that I'm not going to go nowhere, and He showed me the way. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for trusting me, for letting me open my eyes and live this life. Today, I am in the Hall of Fame. Woo! Thank you all.
Well, it's been a pretty intense night. A lot of emotion, tremendous amount of emotion, devotion to their wives, the ones that remember them. And a huge crowd, one of our best nights ever, I think, really. An extraordinary field of competitors who joined the Hall of Fame tonight. Obviously, we've got to thank George Levy and his team. Unfortunately, he's got a great team around him, but one of his stalwarts is Donna Sprague, who has been working for him for 20 years. Donna, she's going to retire in June. I'm sure she's very happy to do that because she'll be around to help, I'm sure, when George calls up and says, by the way, Donna, what have you done with that box? Anyway, so Donna, thank you very much for all your help over the years. And like I say, I think tonight has been one of our best. We had a couple up in Michigan, which were pretty damn good, considering we were in a strange environment and it was a beautiful new hall. And but this was back to square one. We had a really, really good night of great inductees and some incredible people. And now, as we do each year, we invite everyone to join us for our traditional afterglow gathering out in the main hall. and a final champagne toast for our new inductees over at the Shore's Azure Lounge, which is just outside there of the terrace. We also want to sincerely thank our upstate New York friends from Glenora Wine Cellars for providing us the champagne for the toast. Also, after the afterglow, we will continue to glow. We'll get shit-faced, actually, up to speed. In our hospitality suite on the rooftop level. So please join us there as well if you are so inclined. For those of you who must depart, thank you so much for attending, and remember to support the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. So again, thanks for attending. Good night, and remember, support the Motorsports Hall of Fame. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.